Welcome to MasterMind Minutes, the podcast that focuses on the franchise industry. We'll cover topics that are important to franchisees as well as franchisors and share interesting insights that will help you build your business. We have one guest, we ask one question, and we do this in minutes, not hours. Good morning and welcome to another edition of MasterMind Minutes. My name is Gary Occhiogrosso. I am the founder and managing partner for Franchise Growth Solutions and the publisher of FranchiseMoneymaker.com. As I say every week, if you're new to the podcast, let me give you a quick explanation of what we do here. It's called MasterMind Minutes for a very simple reason, and that is we do it in minutes, not hours. We have one guest. We typically have one topic. We ask one question, and we get that one expert answer. And we realize always that that's generally not enough time, so that at the end of the podcast, we will give you contact information for our guest, and you can reach out directly to them or hit their website and learn more about what they do. And today, my guest is Adam Povlitz. And he is the CEO and the president of Anago Cleaning Systems, which is an internationally franchised commercial cleaning brand headquartered in South Florida, where it's nice and warm right now. Up here in New York, it's still cold. We were talking about that earlier. He joined the company back in the fall of 2009 and served as president since April of 2015. However, back in May of 2018, pre-pandemic, and we'll talk about that, certainly, he was appointed as the CEO. Before joining Anago, he was employed by IBM, which was, in my opinion, being an old guy, was kind of like the granddaddy of computer systems and computers in offices. He's a certified franchise executive and a cleaning expert in that field. So, Adam, thank you very, very much for being with us today. I really appreciate you taking the time. Before we get into our question, tell us a little bit more about you, a little bit more about the company, and then we'll get into the question.
So hey, Gary, first, thank you for having me. A little about me. It's funny because when we interview a new potential master franchise, I do a little bit of background about who I am, and then I lead off similar to how you did with, and who the heck are you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You hit the nail on the head with my background there. I've been with Anago since 2009. It was actually a company my father founded. I never was going to be joining the family business. But I was at IBM, as you mentioned, actually in White Plains. I was living in White Plains, commuting up to Somers. So
Yeah.
I'm familiar with those New York winters or cold New York springs late into April. Long story short, I was hired in 2008. In 2009, there was, as you know, the recession we all dealt with. And IBM did a round of layoffs. I wasn't laid off. I was one of the people who was an analyst reviewing. I had no names, I had employee numbers, and we were going through determining who was getting kind of the package, so to speak, of to be let go. And as someone who was early in their career at that time, it was, it's very impactful when you go, I can literally be just a number on someone else's spreadsheet, and it could have very well been someone besides me looking at the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
My dad said, "Hey, you got to check this Anago thing out. I think I have the tiger by the tail with this whole master franchising concept. Come check it out." It was about 6 months later that I ended up leaving IBM and joining him in 2009. And then he said, "You've left your highfalutin finance job in New York. And now you're a janitor, so your first job is you're going to be a telemarketer by day, and you're going to be a franchisee's assistant at night cleaning a daycare." Oh yeah.
Spoken like a true dad. First to say highfalutin, there's a word you don't hear a lot, and then to tell you're going from this to this. Although every job is meaningful. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Exactly. No, it was funny because I was a terrible telemarketer. I mean, that's still part of the business to this day. I was terrible at it, but I think I made 10 appointments in about a month And that's like half of what, maybe a third of what you really should be making. But they use that rule today. They literally call it the Adam rule today, where they tell someone, they say, listen, your first 30 days, we're going to let you get ramped up. But if you can't make 10, our CEO is terrible at this, and he made 10 in his first 30 days. So you got to at least make 10 in your first 30 days. But yeah, so I made the appointments. I was cleaning a daycare. That was like way before the, the diaper genie days. So it was just the big, 50-gallon trash bags. You take a deep breath before you open it and you tie it off. And but it showed me, I mean, I worked through every position. So I did that. I did inside sales, outside sales, customer service. And that was before they even moved me to the corporate franchise. That was actually in the South Florida master franchise, regional franchise, where I was working first. Ultimately moved to the corporate office, and my first role was I think they just called it franchise development. And basically my job was travel the country, talk to, I'm a 20-something-year-old kid at this time. I'm talking to these master franchise owners who've had 5, 10 plus 15 years of experience. Like, I know what the heck I'm talking about. And it really shaped me to take call it a servant leadership approach, where it's how can I help you grow your business? And as they continued promoting me up the line, we got to a place where when I was being promoted to president, the former president, he's a funny guy. His name was Terry. He said he was from West Virginia by way of Texas. So he had this real great accent. I'm not going to do it justice with the Southern twang he had on his accent, accent. But he got me a business card holder, and it said, instead of saying president, it said PUDSOBIC. And I go, what, Terry, what the heck is this? And I'm not going to do the accent, but it sounds better coming from him. And he goes, it stands for poor, unfortunate, dumb SOB in charge. Welcome
I
to
love
being the
it.
president.
I love it. Well, that's certainly a storied story. But it's interesting because it obviously, you didn't start out in the family business, but then when you did, you started out like here and you kind of rose up and you got to see all the little nuances of the business, which I love. Now, in your explanation, I think it really ties to our question a lot. You used the term master franchise a couple of times, and everybody has a different definition of that and different programs. But I think, under sort of best practices in franchising, what we're talking about, and you can straighten me out if you'd like, but what we're talking about is someone actually is buying a chunk of territory and they take on a role of not simply a franchisee, but their role is to recruit, vet, and bring additional franchisees into that territory, and then be sort of your boots on the ground, helping those franchisees get started. If it's territory, maybe it's the telemarketing, I don't know, whatever it is. And there's generally some compensation on the franchise fee and the royalties. That's generally how it works. But I would like to know, your definition, and then I think that the real question is, what is it as a franchisor that you're looking for in terms of different qualities and skill sets, say from a master franchisee versus someone who wants to open up a territory or maybe become 2 or 3 territories in. So definition of master franchisee from you, and differences in terms of what you're looking at in order to qualify an individual.
Sure. Great question. So I think the easiest way first is to dispel, I'm sure a lot of your listeners have thought of like the area developer model, which is something that used back in the day. Ours is almost a hybrid of that, because where the area developer sort of is selling franchises that are equivalent to the person who owns the area development rights. We actually really have, we're actually a 3-tier franchise system. So most franchises that people are familiar with are 2-tier, where, like a McDonald's or whatever has the corporate office and then the people who own the restaurants. Ours actually has 3 tiers, which makes it unique. So we have the corporate office, then we have the master franchise, and then within a master franchise, you have the unit franchise. So the easiest way to explain this is actually from kind of the bottom up. And you go, Okay, so most commercial cleaning in our world is done at night. So someone has to learn the chemicals, the equipment, hire the crew, and go clean the buildings, right? But then where did they get those customers, right? So they would have to wake up after cleaning the building all night. They wake up and they get they get a website. They gotta get salespeople. They gotta sell the accounts, bid the accounts, get all the leads, and then someone's got to bill the accounts, right? So now all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, there's a nighttime aspect of cleaning, and then there's a daytime aspect of sales, marketing, and accounting. And if you were to create, Gary's cleaning company, it's a 24/7 endeavor.
Right,
So,
right.
so what our model does is essentially separates the the night job from the day job. And so people can own a unit franchise in, say we're talking about, you said you're in New York, so we have an owner up there in Hudson Valley who's a master franchise owner. You can own all of Hudson Valley and be the day job, and you hire salespeople and work on a website, get the accounting and invoicing done. And then you're also selling unit franchises in Hudson Valley area where those people are owning cleaning businesses. And the synergy comes about where the unit franchise has zero sales staff, zero marketing budget, and the master franchise is more of an executive and has zero cleaning staff. They don't do any cleaning at a master franchise level. So there's a synergy where everyone's sort of doing the job of the other. Yes, there are fees exchanged for it, but it's a huge overhead cost savings as compared to doing it, in a traditional sense.
Yeah.
So definitionally, what I would say is an easy way to think of it, the master franchise concept is probably your white collar franchise. It's going to be a little bit more expensive. It's a kind of a standard franchise investment, I would say, where you're looking at, a six-figure investment, low six-figure investment, and it's someone who is extremely driven, sales and marketing oriented. But they don't just sell the unit franchise and move on. They obviously are then supporting those unit franchises by having that sales staff that's continually going out and getting new cleaning accounts for the unit franchise. And the unit franchise is your blue collar opportunity, extremely low cost to get in. I mean, talking about, a few $1,000 to own a unit franchise. But then you're a business owner, you're able to clean accounts. You don't have to know anything about sales, marketing. You just know, there's no rocket science behind cleaning, but there obviously are best practices. They train you on the best practices and you're off to the races and you can grow as quickly as you're wanting to.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a brilliant setup because, again, as you say, you can't be doing this 24 hours a day. Although I will say, I'm a former Dunkin' Donuts franchisee from back in the day, and it was 24 hours.
Yeah.
But it was brutal. It was brutal because we didn't know when to sleep, except that we never really got much sleep. I think you're too young to remember, but back in the day, there were commercials for Dunkin' with the sleepy franchise owner, and the sort of the mantra was time to make the donuts, and the guy was always asleep, kind of a thing, because it was a difficult thing. So I think where you've sort of maybe cracked the code here is twofold. Number one, obviously you can't work 24 hours a day, got that. But the other piece is that people have different skill sets
Yeah.
and they're good at, we're all good at something, but we're not good at everything. And the person who's the unit franchisee who is actually out doing sort of the work of the business is probably good at that. And you teach him efficiencies and you said best practices, and he's out there doing a great job, giving great customer service, and maybe even getting referrals. Okay, so there's that piece. But what is that person perhaps maybe they don't like, or they're not good at, or they don't have time to do? And that is build the business. And
Right.
on the corporate side, it sounds like you're out there with your team building the business, giving franchisees clients, making sure they're living up to the brand standards, and sort of taking all of that pressure off of somebody who may not like to sell, or may not be good at it, or may not have time for it. You're taking that all away. So this symbiotic relationship, obviously you're collecting more royalties if you're royalty driven or fee driven to some extent based on sales. And the franchisee's digging it because the franchisee can go about doing the work of the business.
Right.
So it's,
So I liken it to, if say someone told you, Gary, you're a phenomenal cook. You should start a restaurant. Maybe you're a grill master, right? I don't know. Maybe you really crush it making Italian food.
that would be bad advice, but go ahead.
Say, hypothetically, right?
Yeah.
You make a mean pasta, right? You have a phenomenal penne alla vodka. I don't know. And so you go, yeah, I've heard a few people say I'm a great cook. I should start a restaurant. And you get in there and you make the best penny that anybody's ever had. But what do you know about recruiting employees, marketing your restaurant, spoilage, inventory, turnover, all that sort of stuff, the business side of the restaurant business. So wouldn't it be wonderful if the restaurant industry was broken apart in the same way, where people who were phenomenal chefs could say, okay, I'm going to pay a fee to someone else to manage all of that marketing, sales, operational stuff to another firm. I know that firm has my best interest at heart because they're obviously have skin in the game if I grow or not. And I can just focus on what I do best, which is the cooking. And that's what we've done with commercial cleaning.
Yeah, and I will tell you, you're preaching to the choir, and you use one of my examples because very often, and we specialize in the restaurant business on the FSO side and the franchise development side for my company, and very often the restaurants that fail are owned and operated by chefs. And people will go, well, Gary, why do you say that chefs are the worst people to own a restaurant? They're chefs. Well, because as we said earlier, everyone can be good at something, but not everyone can be good at everything. And the successful restaurateurs that are out there, or the successful chefs in the restaurant business, typically have business partners. So
Right.
that is the same concept where you have to look at your business from a 360 point of view and say, well, maybe the chef is doing what Michael Gerber from the E-Myth talks about as the work of the business, but in your case, the corporate office is looking at the overall business. So, you've got the entrepreneur, the technician, and the manager. That's sort of how it works on that level. So I think that's great. Now, the real question, okay, because it's supposed to be, the one question. The real question is, obviously, those people, those individuals, whether it's the unit franchisee that the master is looking for, or the master franchisee that you're looking for, have two very different sets of skills, and more importantly, two different sets of qualities and mindset. So when you want to bring a master franchisee in, and there are other franchisors that use this model, I want you to share with our audience, what is it that you're looking for in a master franchisee from a quality point of view, a mindset point of view, and maybe a financial point of view, although, doing your business versus a master who's opening restaurants that cost $800,000 would be a different financial model. But I'd like to know, what is it that you're focusing on so that you can make a decision to say, yeah, we want to bring that person into our brand.
Yeah. So with any of our franchisees, I think there's an old African proverb that says it best. It says, every morning the lion has to wake up and outrun the slowest deer, or it goes hungry, or gazelle and it goes hungry, or the gazelle wakes up and it has to outrun the fastest lion, or it gets eaten, but everybody wakes up running. I
love
think
it. I love that.
I think that's what we focus on when we're looking for, our ideal master franchisee. It's someone who is a builder. It's less about operational perfection when you're trying to focus on a master franchise. It's more about that daily hustle, that what can I do to get a little bit better every day. I watched this documentary. It was Facebook did it for some reason. It was a documentary on Tom Brady, and it was called Tom versus Time. I don't know if anybody saw that. It was great. Their little 15-minute videos were great. And it's Tom Brady talking about his approach to football. And his trainer said, there's a lot of guys that are, they have a lot of gifts out of college, and they're super talented athletes, but they're not focused on improving. And Tom, he goes, if every year I can get 1% better, then I've done my job. And that's the mentality of a person we're looking for, is like, how do I could just get a little bit better, get a little bit more efficient at my sales, get a little bit more efficient at customer retention, get the training for my unit franchisees just a little bit better. it's someone who's hungry like that. It's definitely a lot of grit and determination. Yes, there is, a financial outlay. It's a few $100,000 all in. But it's not some major capital outlay where you have to spend millions of dollars on restaurant, equipment and build out and all that sort of stuff. Sorry, not hating on the restaurants. It's also a
Oh, no,
phenomenon.
that's just the reality of the situation. That's it. Yeah.
Faster ROI because of the lower investment level. And it's all outbound, right? I would describe it as a hunter franchise rather than a gatherer, slash farmer. You're out there every day trying to have you or your salespeople meet with new customers, and sign them up for services that are performed by the unit franchises.
So the master franchisee, from what you've said, and I love the analogy that you gave, and I love the African proverb. I will be stealing that and using that in seminars that I give, because it really describes it beautifully. I so when you're looking at that master franchisee, first of all, I would say that person has to understand the concept that unless they fulfill their obligation to the franchisee they bring in, unless they become, I think you used the term before, servant leader, unless they are actually fulfilling that role, they're not going to be successful, because
Right.
they've got to help those guys and those women get clients. So
Right.
I would think so. Some of those qualities are obviously servant leadership, sales, efficiencies, understanding how to motivate a team and that sort of stuff. Very different now from the unit franchisee, who
Right.
has a different skill set and set of qualities, which might be what? What is that unit franchisee like? Who is that? What's their persona?
So yeah, so where the master franchise is very much almost a larger than life persona in some degrees, where it's trying to just, constantly be out there. The unit franchise is all about operational efficiency and customer service. I mean, I can't stress customer service enough. It's not in our industry, we've found it's not bad cleaning that will end the contract relationship. It's bad customer service. The reality, there's benefits to our industry of being, very, very people driven, right? You can't export me to China. You can't, Amazon isn't going to come to town and
Right,
completely
right. You're
replace
safe. You can't
it's
be replaced by AI. I got
yeah, it's not being
you.
replaced by AI. Someone's got to physically walk in, but then because you have that human element, the reality is we're only human, and there's going to be mistakes made. And so it's about that a speed to addressing the mistake, resolving the mistake, and continuing, being a good point of a good at communicating quickly, and resolving things as fast as possible. Without, pumping my own brand here, we've invested heavily in customer service based technology, and that's where we're using the technology and the AI to improve. Because look, everybody's got the same mops. We've all got the same microfibers and backpack vacuums. And so the only way you can really set yourself apart in this industry is being the best at customer service and using the technology to create speed to customer service and satisfaction as fast as possible.
I agree, and I want to know more about the technology that you're using, but I just want to inject a story here. 40 years ago, let me see, is it 40 years ago? Yeah, maybe 40, 45 years ago, I was in the New York radio business, and where I worked, we had a cleaning service come in. And I recall it was great for years. And then all of a sudden, we had this sort of rough patch where everyone was complaining that their little waste paper basket in their cubicle, it was emptied, but the little plastic bag, the new one, wasn't put in. And it like went on for a while. It was like a thing, who got a plastic bag and who didn't. But what I do remember was when the office manager spoke with the company, the owner of the company showed up that day, not only to correct the problem and make sure that he was going to find out, the crew and everything else, but he brought a stack of plastic bags, and
Yeah.
he went and put those bags in there were people in the office going, no, 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 just give me the bag. I'll do it. He was like, nope. And he did it. And I guess at the time I was probably 20, 21, no, 22, whatever. I just remember thinking, this guy is like really making this right.
Right.
That to me is great customer service.
Exactly.
When you because you're never going to operate without making a mistake. I mean, it's silly to even think that. It's what do you do with it when it's brought to your attention. So talk to me now. You mentioned technology and AI, and I'm having difficulty connecting the dots. We use a lot of AI and a lot of technology, obviously, in franchise sales and franchise development, but I'm having difficulty connecting the dots. Like, how does technology and AI connect to the commercial cleaning business? Because
Yeah.
you said, I think about a mop, like you said, a mop and a broom and a vacuum. I don't think about AI. Talk to me about that. It's really intriguing.
Yeah, so when most people hear cleaning and technology, it sounds like, one of those, like jumbo shrimp, what it's like, what? Those,
Yes.
those like opposites. But so what we did is so let me actually back up and use a little bit of a story to explain it. So when you go out to a restaurant, you can have three levels of an experience. A delightful experience, right? You enjoy the food, great service. You have a terrible experience, right? The waiter was a jerk, food was cold, or you just have some middle of the road, like, it was okay experience. In commercial cleaning, we don't have three experiences. You have two. So either you get to your office and you go, well, I got to work, and you don't think about the cleaning whatsoever. You just, well, I got to work. Or you get to the office and, like you said, you go, why is there no trash liner in my trash can? Or why is there smudges on my desk? And so we've realized that if we only have two potential experiences, then we have to use that negative experience to take that as our moment to make a friend in the business. Um, so we created a proprietary software platform that we call CleanCom, Clean Communication. If you have an issue, if you're an Anago client, you take out your phone, you open our CleanCom app, you take a picture of the issue, you send it through private messaging, so you're not exchanging cell phone numbers or anything like that. You can type it in whatever language you speak. It has Google Translate built in, so whoever's cleaning your facility can translate it into whatever language they speak. It has a built-in 2-hour response guarantee. So if you don't get a response from that unit franchise owner, it escalates it to the master franchise territory, and they can jump in and rectify that. And all on the back end, what it does is it uses the analytics of it's tracking what room that you log. So oh, it's a restroom, it's a cafeteria, it's an office, whatever it may be. And so on the back end, it'll actually sort through and say, oh, this franchisee's had 3 complaints about restrooms, and alert the master franchise owner so they can say, hey, let's pull this guy in for a retraining on how to properly do restrooms before it becomes a real issue. So
Yeah.
it's very powerful stuff versus the old, right? It's you got to pick up the phone, you go, which cleaning company we use? Or they use, or God, the old ones, we used to do this too. It used to be a book. And it would be a book that like where's the janitor's binder? You'd have to try to leave a note, and you go, does anybody speak whatever language they speak? And it turns into this, did they do it? I don't know if they did it. And so it's I need you to know that we did it. I need you to know you're going to get a response within 2 hours to know that it's done. You have it documented. It's private communication. It's in any language. And now you go, great. And you never have to pick another cleaning company again.
I love it. I think it's brilliant, and you know what? The way you explained it as to the technology and how and why you would use it, it's like duh, of course. I mean, it's a simple application, but yet when you get that data, the master knows who needs a little maybe additional training or
Right.
the talk, so to speak. The customer loves it because they can communicate and get the problem rectified really, really quickly, and then it sounds like it's sort of dashboarded and you can see trends and use that information to help. Great. I love it. I'll tell you, Adam, I don't know a lot about your business, but I know the franchising business, and I love the model that you presented. And again, the idea that you're separating sort of the sales piece from the actual work piece, I think is great. What any last insights you would want to share with our audience if they were looking to develop a master program for their franchise company? We have a lot of franchisors that listen to this, so I'm just eager to hear, like, is there any 1, 2, or 3 things you could say? Hey, if you're looking for master franchises, watch out for this or
Yeah.
whatever.
So I will say, I mean, there's definitely pros and cons to the master franchise model, right? I mean, on the pros side, it allows you to expand extremely quickly, because that, the person who owns, Hudson Valley or Atlanta or Detroit, I mean, they're a, major level investor in the brand. Cons is, I will say, sometimes things take a little bit longer to roll out because it takes a lot of extra vetting, right? So I'm not just selling, uh, hey, we wanna roll out this new product. Can every store sell this new flavor of pizza? Right? I have to go then through the master franchise, explain to them why it's profitable for them, teach them, train the trainer on how they need to present it, and then they are able to go down to the client and or sell it to how the technique of how it's done to the unit franchisee. So it takes a little longer to roll out new concepts. Luckily in my space, there's not a lot of earth-shattering developments in cleaning, right? Where, like I said, we're all using the same microfibers and all that sort of stuff. So it's all right. But that said, back to almost pro of that is every idea we roll out is extremely fleshed out. So it's not, by the time, usually we have a group of people that are willing to pilot something, they try it out, work out the kinks, give us feedback. We adjust the program that we're coming up with, the new idea, whatever it may be, before it ever hits the rest of the master franchise community and then the unit franchise community. So it is extremely vetted. So I would say, if you're looking to use master franchising as the model, just keep in mind what type of industry you're in. If you're in a, technology cutting edge space, it may be a little bit difficult to roll as fast as you want. But if you're but I mean, it seems to me that the money can be made, the most money is made in the most vanilla of generic services, right? Taking out the trash, cutting hair, just very common things that everybody has to do every day. There's definitely a lot of creativity that can be done, and speed to expansion that can be done through the master franchise model.
Yeah, that's great advice, and this has been great because it's not a topic that I don't think it's a topic we've ever covered before. So it was great to have you on and to talk about this. If you or if anyone in the audience wants to reach you or learn more about the company, is there a email address, a website? Like how does the LinkedIn, how does someone learn more about this?
Yeah, so first, obviously, you can always visit our website. It's anagocleaning.com, and we're on every social media. It's always like, Facebook/Anago Cleaning. And then, if anyone wants to, feel free. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. If you want to type in Adam Povlitz on LinkedIn and shoot me a note, I'll be sure to respond to you.
Great, great. Thank you very much for being with us. I truly appreciate it. It's been very enlightening to me because again, being in the franchise side of this, and hearing how people are using this business model, this master franchise business model is always enlightening because it's information that I can share with my clients, because maybe they want to pursue it. So I can't thank you enough for being here, and we'll have to have you back on because there's a lot more to talk about.
Pleasure was all mine.